Yeah, guys, I was not going to do a video on this, but I thought, you know what, I've gave it 24 hours, benefit of the doubt, see what else comes out. And so much has happened over 24 hours between wrestling fans, dirt sheets and everything. You've just caused a massive headache once again for fans. You know, bring back Vince. At least he knew what to do. You know? You wonder why the rumours and speculations that Stephanie and Trips are no longer on talking terms with the likes of Vince McMahon. You wonder why? Because you ruined what he built up. You know? He may have had a past and so on like that. He may have had certain things about him that people don't agree on. What allegations against him and everything. But he knew how to run wrestling. It brings a fucking tear to my eye. You know? I go into wrestling because of Vince. Not because of the larger life characters other than the like Roddy Piper. Yeah, he was my go-to guy. Growing up as a kid, I wanted to be different. I wanted to be brash. And why do you think, technically, he inspired me to do what I'm doing today? What I'm sitting in front of the camera and talk about professional wrestling. You know, he was one of those guys that you can literally say, yeah, he pushed the boundaries of the golden era to the point where that's why I related to him, and I'm glad I met him few years ago. But end of the day, you are destroying what Vince has brought up from the ground up, from when he bought it off his dad. You know, WWE needs Vince and Vince needs WWE. Yes, I know he's old and whatever's going off with the allegations, but I feel so bad that he's actually sold on a company to another company, let alone people have bought into broadcasting rights, and I feel like it's not delivering as much as you would expect. You know, you bought out another company you done fuck all with in AAA, like I predicted. You know, week by week, you're only promoting that World Slide by using Mexican wrestlers on SmackDown that talk English. Is that all you're relying on? You know? You've got a guy that's American that's dressing up as a Mexican, but it's perfectly fine for that to happen. But if a white guy paints his face black, it's racist. Ain't it the same thing as like dressing up as a Mexican and a Mexican? Why does that sound so familiar? El Ligero in the United Kingdom. He's from Leeds. Sorry to break kayfabe, but he's from Leeds. When he was around, yeah, fair enough, the Speak Out movement, I'm not going into detail already. I've talked about NXT Europe about that. But I just want to say that, it's a carbon copy of that. Is that the best you can come up with? That's what you're relying on to build your Worlds Collide. Okay, fair enough. You made this a big song and deal about what Worlds Collide. This is why WWE is a mess, and I'm stressing this as a wrestling fan, not because it's tribalism. This is me being honest. It's a complete shambles. 2025, I would say, is a complete shambles. WrestleMania's been shit. Weekly products sort of improving, but still been quite shit compared to what you would expect from the biggest company in the world. You know? Now you've cancelled WrestleMania in New Orleans next year. Hey, Junior. You've cancelled that, and within the last 24 hours, you've caused more headache, more or less, over the ticket pricing scenario. I would say less than the ticket scenario, which I was really surprised. I was surprised there weren't much of an uproar, even though there was a lot of uproar. There's an uproar at the moment because people have booked tickets for hotels, booked tickets for flights, because they would expect this to go ahead because it never moves home. Because the only time it moved home is when it was COVID times, because it had to go to the PC, the Performance Center of WWE. This is why WWE, I feel like you are making a laugh at your fan base, right? Myself included, right? This is why I stated, and I'll state this again, I do not want WrestleMania to come to the United Kingdom ever. Because the way you price things at the moment is absolutely bloody shocking. You know? Get this in your thick heads. right? You are meant to be a company that is meant to be a billionaire company, not making these mistakes. And you're going to come out with some lame excuse when in fact it's not the real excuse. But you've screwed over a lot of fans that have already paid for their hotels, or already paid for their flights, and you are going to upset so many people. Job well done. And for them to go to Vegas, rumours and speculations if it's going back to Vegas, why? Let alone, here's one thing that will really upset their fan base. Could upset them fan base, in fact. There's a lot of rumours and speculations that the reason why they're going back to, obviously because of the money situation, right? Always about money. Why does this company need any more money? They've got enough money as it is, right? There is speculations going around the internet at the moment. The reason why technically they're going back to Vegas is because they're actually going to make that the stopping point for WrestleMania to go on tour and stay in Vegas. Why? WrestleMania decided to go on the road earlier in its days. It's been known for that. That's why people always used to look forward to going to WrestleMania. So if it's in their home state, you know, it used to, even though I've never been to the States, even though I've not done certain things what I want to do on my bucket list at the age of 42 towards being a wrestling fan, is to go to a WrestleMania. But obviously health insurance, money and so on like that, right? I regret looking back. I could have afforded to go to a WrestleMania. I could have, you know, for many years. You know, when it was decently priced. Now it's all gone corporate and all fucking this, fucking that. End of the day, I want to say to you guys at home, right? Why are people still watching this company when they're trying to fuck us over? Granted, we watch the weekly product, but if they are trying to make WrestleMania to stay in Vegas for every year now, I feel like that is harsh. That is really harsh to the fans around, not just around the world, just in the United States alone. Right? Because everyone used to look forward to the unveiling where the next WrestleMania is going to go. You know, it had that nostalgia feel to it. Yes, this is just speculated from what I've been seeing like on social media through people that are doing TikTok, towards doing YouTube, I've been literally doing my research today. And a lot of people are literally saying about it being staying in Vegas now. Now, if that pans out to be true, this is the biggest mistake you could do. Because I feel like, in a way, it will lose its flavour towards not just the WWE, to WrestleMania itself. I know people probably still buy it, but like I did a video about AEW, about they could capitalise on where WWE are making their mistakes. This is a prime example of it. It's like equivalent to saying, okay, Monday Night, you might as well just say Monday Night Raw and SmackDown are staying in one arena for the rest of the time until the day that I die or something like that. You might as well say that to every pay-per-view then. Because if you're going to you want people to invest into 2 nights of Mania, let alone in the middle of a desert, don't get me wrong. I've seen people's vlogs, right? I see they've had a good time at WrestleMania. It's a beautiful stadium where it's been held. But it will get boring. It will get boring because I'm not being funny. What does Vegas mainly stand for? Gambling. Yes, they've got eye-tracking attractions, but how many times is that going to last? Every time when you go to like a WrestleMania that's hosted in Vegas, you know, I'm dumbfounded. They want to go back to the same thing, and it proves they'll probably make cutbacks. They won't do a new sign. They'll use the same one. It's starting to grind my gears to the point where this really does frustrate me. You know? I feel sorry for the people that are actually subscribed to me. You know, not just the 20 on here, just about the over 1,000 subscribers over on my Gavin Knox channel. I feel sorry for them because if I guarantee some of them have booked their flights, booked their hotels for New Orleans, and it's not happened. I feel sorry for the state that actually hosts it, was meant to host it in New Orleans. You know, just think about the surrounding areas that bars are pumped, that wrestling's in town. Even though, yeah, fair enough, it's frowned upon for numerous of people that do not follow wrestling. But they always get into the hype of what wrestling gives. They're grateful for what economy that is brought to that state, let alone to that area where it is. You think of the bars that may... We have that feeling against, like, the World Cup. We have that feeling against the Super Bowl. You know, believe it or not, places in Nottingham do host it. And they order that extra stock in. But you just think when the football season's here, or soccer seasons, when we've got Nottingham Forest are in the Premiership, you know, town's buzzing when that actually happens. So when it comes to wrestling fans, it's the same thing, if not more. You know, we use wrestling for escape from reality from all our day-to-day lives. You know, you could be a plumber, you could be an electrician, you could be even unemployed. But we use wrestling towards our escapism, towards a reality. You know, it's helped with my mental health. I've done a video for my good old friend Light Skin Guy Ocean based on TikTok explaining what wrestling means to me. You know, I could be just sitting here on my webcam just talk about professional wrestling. But it's not just about that. It's the people, the friends I've made with as well. You just think those people that were looking forward to going to New Orleans to hang out with their friends they do not see often. From overseas or from here in the United Kingdom. You know, you bang out of order what you've done. You know, because of money. I love when they say, due to higher bid. So why did you 100% confirm it? You made a fool out of The Rock, even though The Rock's made a fool out of himself recently. Yes, I'm talking about Dwayne Johnson. You know, because end of the day, you don't want to upset your fan base because they're the ones who line your pockets, but a lot of fans will probably just take it on the chin. But believe you me, I'm a person that's 42. I'm not a little scrawny kid that fucking wants to go to a WrestleMania or wants to go to a house show. I'll just pick and choose what I want to watch, and I'm happy what I want to watch. You know, I like watching AEW. You know, they've got a lot more respect. You know. And the weird thing about it is people make a big song and dance about like what I'm doing right now. But I just want to point this, if AEW does move home, they get one thing I don't get, right? Is about other wrestling fans. They take the piss when AEW had to move home in Australia because of lack of ticket sales due to arena. But at least one thing they're realising where they've made a mistake. You know? It's not that drastic, I know. But when you literally move home your big pay-per-view, it's not pandemic era anymore. You know? If you are relying so much on this money that Vegas are rumoured to be hosting, just say, you're really making no sense. Because this is coming from a company that's a billionaire company already, or a millionaire company. Are you that struggling because you're following the greed? You got $10 billion off the basically Netflix deal. You got $10 billion. That's not exactly a big jump of change. That's just one thing that you could literally have been given for 10 years worth of WWE. I know everyone finds their struggles, but this is a company that is making the struggles for themselves. It really baffles me when I can see straight through this crap. You know? I'm hoping a lot of people do see what goes off and decide to not invest in their money anymore. But it's never going to work like that because no one thinks the same. I'm not here to I'm not here to teach people how to think the same way as I'm doing. You know, a lot of people do agree with my opinion, which I'm grateful for. A lot of people don't. You know? But the reason why I keep saying I don't want a WrestleMania here in the United Kingdom because of the pricing. You're pricing out the fans that basically put dinner on your own plate and your lifestyle. When is WWE going to learn? You know, wrestling used to be a way of life to get away from day-to-day life, like I've mentioned. But the one thing that really, really upsets me the most, which I'm almost in fucking tears talking about it, and I'll be honest with you. Granted, I've got no kids. Granted, I've got no missus. But if I had a missus and I was into wrestling, I guarantee that kid will probably want to be into wrestling. It's bad enough with parents that I know through the IWC that are basically got kids that are into wrestling. I feel sorry for them. The reason why, because of how expensive it's become. No matter if it's wrestling figures, t-shirts, they are basically heroes to kids. They were heroes to me at one point. Because you are prizing so much out your fans, people are going to not like it after so long. Yeah, granted, it's at the moment it's the hotbed of talent. Granted, I'm not knocking the talent. I'm knocking the way it's run. Stop prizing out the fans, because if you are prizing out the fans, you are fucking making a mistake. Because it's really, really frustrating to witness. Because I look at those, just think I would feel bad if I couldn't buy a wrestling figure for my child. Or for myself. Why do you think I've not collected wrestling figures? Because it's an expensive hobby this day and age when it comes to professional wrestling. The reason why I've said this for many years, for people that are getting into professional wrestling, good luck with your wallet. My advice, invest in it wisely. Don't follow because WWE is the big brand that people look to for many, many years. If you want to get into wrestling, start from the ground up on the independent scene. That's all I can suggest to you, because at the end of the day, you probably enjoy it more for the fraction of the cost what WWE has to offer. You know, go to your local independent shows. I've done it for many years, and look where all the people that I've literally pretty much have seen, met, made friends with. You guessed it, in the mainstream scene. It's not because I don't want to invest my money to go and see them live. Because don't forget, I am going to Forbidden Door. You know, I'm going with my mate Paddy from Wrestling Nerds here on YouTube. We're going to have a blast. Granted, we spent £200 each on the ticket. Granted. Right? That's including booking fee. But that's in our budget. The thing is, with wrestling, you need to learn to budget with it. Don't go all out if you need just to show off. You know? I did my wrestling vlogs to obviously take you on my journeys towards wrestling shows or conventions. Not to show off, not because I've bought into this company, etc. to get views. No. It's not. It's just basically to show my experience to you guys. What you can actually have as well. You know, that's the whole idea of making my wrestling vlog channel, is to share my experience with you. You know, I loved to go many years ago to Clash of the Castle 2022. I really enjoyed that show. But then when I look at the prices, if I want the same view and that lot compared to once what we paid, never am I going to afford that. I'm not going to. I was 6 rows behind Tyson Fury. I think it was £360. And I look at the way WWE are charging this day and age, I think it's going to be over £3,000. Hypothetically, I just want to say this now. I'm starting a new job on June the 2nd. Right? I can't wait to start my new job. Am I literally going to save up and spend shitloads of more money on a wrestling ticket? The thing I want to get out of the way is obviously Forbidden Door, and that's not me being bad or anything. And then hopefully focus on For Love of Wrestling 6 next year. I'd rather invest in my money to meet him at conventions instead of paying what WWE wants to charge the fans. You know, it sickens me. It sickens me to the point where now, when they've changed state, the people, you just think how many people are excited that you've just hurt. You know? Granted, wrestling happens for a reason. I know wrestling, WWE card's subject to change. Doesn't mean venue, does it? You know? I'm not saying this in a bad light at all, guys. You're entitled to your opinions, but I just want to say this is absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous for them to do this. And for them, obviously, with the rumours and speculations, I know this is not 100% confirmed yet by WWE themselves, but it's weird to think that dirt sheets and gossip sites and all that lot know the news. And they're the ones who are willing to break it. But the man themselves called WWE does not want to break it. You know? They'll probably do a bloody half-hour, like 20-minute segment on Monday Night Raw about it. They'll find some lame excuse to sugarcoat the fans. You know? And then they'll probably look around and people aim daggers at me and other people on social media. No, it's happened this way. Don't believe everything they say. Now, this is not me hating on WWE to a point, but I'm just doing this for the fans because I'm a fan myself. You know, I don't get paid to do this. I don't at all. This is the problem where people think, right? I look at the way I've done videos over the years since 2010. I've not got one single dime doing this. I've invested so much time in doing this. Why? Because I'm an honest wrestling fan, and I want people to be honest with me on my journey here on Wrestling Fan Open Mic Night, towards Gavi Knott's channel, towards obviously that, towards my TikTok. End of the day, TikTok's blew up for me. You know, I don't get paid out even on there. You know, and it sickens me to, right, I'm voicing my opinions, but it sickens me from the bottom of my heart how much the way WWE has made WrestleMania look a disaster already. And that's not just me being a overreacting fan. I'm not being funny. Look at the drizzling shits we've had this past WrestleMania. That just shows you, you know, and I predicted that would happen. Obviously, you didn't see it on video, but I had a feeling I felt sorry for the fans that actually spent a lot of money going to that. You know, I know a load of people that went to it. Stevie Breach here on YouTube. You had the likes of TNS Attitude here, based here on YouTube. Just name put a couple there. Other than the people that I watch on TikTok. You know? It just frustrates me that we can sit here and I can sit here and you thinking I'm bitching and moaning. But I'm doing what I want to do, is tell you the truth, how I feel. What's the difference between typing it? There's no difference to me. They've just caused more headache more than happiness towards the wrestling fans. You know? But the catch is, when you look at the prices, what WrestleMania was last year, fair enough, people may have thought, okay, it's a bit extortionate when tickets are released. Just think now, okay, they're going back to rumours and speculations, going back to Las Vegas. What happens if they're a lot more than this past year? And yet they're probably going to recycle the old staging and the old lighting. And if this is meant to be where the rooms are going to be staying in Vegas from now on, you know? Oh, but before people say it, oh, but you've got AEW all in at Wembley. But we haven't this year. We've got The thing is, right? Tony Khan, right? People may give him a lot of stick. But at least one thing, he didn't let down the UK fans to a point. As of yet. And this has just been me, a casual, dedicated wrestling fan. I don't look at a brand anymore. Right? All In, yeah, fair enough, is going to Texas. What do we get instead? Forbidden Door. Am I complaining? Absolutely not. I feel like that's technically an upgrade. Because we're going to see wrestlers that we don't hardly see over here in the United Kingdom shores. Or we might... The thing is, when you've got the likes of New Japan, you know, I was dumbfounded when that was confirmed. You know, that was confirmed pretty much when it was leaked all over the signage where they were advertising it, and it got the world talking. They didn't put it on the internet, fans put it on the internet. I saw that on the coach as I was going to All In last year. He's been dedicated to his UK fans. The one thing I would love for Tony Khan to do, and I'll be honest with you, truly honest with you, I'm hoping in a way he brings another PLE over to the United Kingdom next year, pay-per-view, next year, and then do it in a different part of the UK. Not just London. Granted, they got Dynamite up in Scotland, but that's a massive distance for UK fans. Tell you one thing, if I had the fucking money, I would have gone Dynamite and Collision at the same time, the same week. Hands down, I'm not bullshitting to you. You know, I would have done that. You know, it's a bold statement that what he's doing Wales last year, he did Scotland this year. Wouldn't surprise me if he'll put it in Northern Ireland next year. At least one thing, he knows to look after the fans. He listens to the fans. WWE claim they listen to the fans. If that's the case, lower your prices. Do better storylines. You say you care about the UK market and can't wait to be back. And you get... The weird thing about it is, as it stands, right? Cody Rhodes has said it at WrestleMania in the United Kingdom. Got people hyped for it. So is John Cena, but have they? Have they not? Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm fucking wrong. You know? You get people so much hyped up over the years. Well, at least when John Cena said it, it could have been affordable for me to go. Let alone anyone else to go. But you're bang out of order of doing what you've done. That's just me being honest. I'm off, guys, now, guys. I'm just really, really frustrated. Within the last 24 hours, you've caused headache. But the thing is, when people have been told... It's ironically, shit happens when people talk about the other company. The likes of AEW. They're pretty much getting hyped for Double or Nothing this coming Sunday. Then you do something negative or positive to people talk about WWE. You know, SmackDown's on tonight. Hopefully I'm uploading my review hopefully by tomorrow night, because as you know full well, I don't watch that live. I can't watch that live because end of the day, that annoying advert breaks music really does my head in. But anyway, guys, until next time, obviously keep subscribing button. You know where it is down below. Please hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. I'm trying not to burp on the microphone. I do apologise. Bell icon, select all, and you'll be notified anytime when I do any of the videos. Thank you ever so much if you are watching this, because at the moment I feel like my videos are not getting the message across. I don't know why. What am I doing wrong? And so on. That's just me being honest. But keep supporting. Until next time, guys. Catch you guys later.